similarly to kind of what I said earlier about how we respond to stress, it's very different. It's going to be different on how we manage stress as well. So I suppose the big question is now, I suppose if everyone who's watching, just kind of take maybe a minute or so just to think about what it is that you do to manage your stress, or maybe even what is it that you don't do but would like to do to help manage your stress. Because there's loads of techniques and various different things out there. For example, here are some. So we've got nutrition, yoga, gratitude, reading, so many different things that we can incorporate into our day-to-day lives. And it's not about doing all of them and feeling overwhelmed, resulting in more stress. It's not what we want. It's about finding the ones that work for you and the ones that you can sort of resonate with and think, actually, yeah, I do want to dedicate some more time to that. It's about making yourself a priority as well, I think is really important. And hopefully that's something that I would like people to take away from today is stress and diet have always been linked. And I think even if you're feeling overly stressed, you can feel it in your body. And certainly digestive system is, for a lot of people, kind of the go-to when someone's feeling stressed. When you're under a lot of strain, you know how you feel when you eat better, when you're exercising more, you feel physically and emotionally better. So today I'm going to touch on some stress relieving foods, things to try and avoid as much as possible, and I'm going to touch on mindful eating. So for those of you that haven't heard of mindful eating, it's essentially being present with your food and practicing mindfulness when you're eating, really. It's slowing down big time. It's more about spending time with your food, and it's definitely an act of self-care, I'd say, because a lot of the time we either sit at our desks when we're at work and we're working whilst eating, we eat on the go, we live in a world where fast food is everywhere and we can just pick something up and just wolf it down. We don't even think about it most of the time, but it's really important for our digestion to slow down and take time and really chew our food, actually think about how we're feeling. So this process actually can really help sort of help you notice your body's biological cues, really, and get you back into how you should feel around food and to enjoy it as well, to take time to savor every mouthful as opposed to just, one bite and one chew and it's gone. So I think this is a really important practice to try if you haven't tried it before. So start off really simply, I'd say, is just sit and avoid being on your phone, avoid watching television, remove any distractions, and just take some deep breaths before you eat and chew your food. Now, when it comes to chewing your food, I have heard various different amounts of chews for optimal health, but really, I suppose it's as many as you can. I know if you think about it, probably 4 or 5 is kind of the average. Whereas we should be looking more towards 20 plus. So I think that's a really big, important factor in stress relief is mindful eating, definitely. And so our body's in fight or flight. And what happens when our bodies are in fight or flight, it basically, essentially sort of shuts our digestive system down. So we aren't able to absorb nutrients from our food that we should. So we need to be in rest and digest, parasympathetic nervous system state, because otherwise we aren't getting what we should from our foods. So there are some really key nutrients which are here that we're going to chat about a bit more, because when we are stressed, certain nutrients can become depleted. So when that emergency response sort of kicks in, we need more vitamin C, we need more magnesium, B5, zinc, etc. So magnesium, first of all, I'm going to touch on. I know it's number 3, but I want to talk about magnesium first. So definitely a good idea to increase your magnesium levels, and so you can do this quite easily through food. So things like green leafy vegetables, nuts and seeds. Also, I think there's a little bit of chocolate, but obviously chocolate's got a bit of caffeine in it, but weigh it up, I suppose. If you want a bit of chocolate, it's not really going to do you too much harm. Also, you can soak in an Epsom salt bath. That's another way of getting magnesium in. vitamin C. So vitamin C is found in really high amounts in the adrenal glands, and we can't actually produce vitamin C, so we really need to make sure we're getting it from our diet. And I know everyone thinks vitamin C in oranges for some reason, but vitamin C is also found in kiwis, red peppers, broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, so a whole array of different fruits and veg. B5, so this is a really important cofactor that's needed during the stress response. And so when our stress levels increase, our body's requirements for B5 increases. And B5 is found in, I think it's shiitake mushrooms, it's a unusual mushroom, I think it's shiitake. It's found in avocados, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, but not many people seem to eat those at the moment. B6 as well, really important for many biochemical pathways in the stress response. And so you can find B6 in fish, whole grains, brown rice, etc. Zinc, this is actually sort of typically low. Actually, I think a lot of us are deficient in zinc. And I don't know if it's available worldwide, but there is a zinc taste test that you can do. You sort of just take a little capful of zinc, you swirl it around your mouth and then swallow it. And depending on what you can taste, it gives you an indication of how your zinc levels are. I can't remember if you taste a really strong metallic taste, then it's okay. But I can't remember which way round it is, but it's quite handy because a lot of us are deficient in zinc, and it's so important for our immune system, which is really important at the moment, of course. And also when we're stressed, it is used up so rapidly during periods of stress. So it's really, really important to make sure we're getting enough zinc. So zinc-rich foods, that includes shellfish, pumpkin seeds, legumes. So there are plenty of sources of it. So if you're really eating kind of an overall balanced, healthy diet, then you should be getting most of these nutrients in. But sometimes, like we were saying earlier, when we're feeling stressed, we don't tend to go for the healthy options always. Omega-3 as well. So stress can really sort of tax the heart. So omega-3 is really, really important for our heart. So making sure we're getting oily fish, walnuts, etc. as well. And then finally, probiotic-rich foods. And really, it should say gut-healthy foods here, I think, because it's important to be aware that not everyone can tolerate probiotic-rich foods. If you're struggling with IBS or you have a digestive issue generally, then probiotics might not really work for you. So find foods that do. If you can tolerate probiotic-rich foods, then make sure you're getting prebiotic-rich foods in there too. They kind of work like a tag team in the gut, making sure we're getting lots of good bacteria in there. So you can have things like kimchi, sauerkraut, kefir. There's some good options there.